Harry Houdini once claimed that if anyone could show him a card trick 3 times, he'd tell them how it was done. This is the story of the one trick that fooled Houdini. Houdini was approached by Dai Vernon, who showed him a completely ordinary deck of cards, and Dai Vernon took the top card of the deck, in this case the Jack of Spades, and had Houdini sign it. Now, after this, Houdini's card was placed into the middle of the deck, and with a snap, Dai Vernon made it reappear on top. Again, Houdini asked to see it, but this time he was suspicious. He made sure to check everything that Dai Vernon had. He checked in Dai Vernon's deck box, he checked up Dai Vernon's sleeves, but again, with a snap, the card was on top. Finally, Houdini cut his card into the middle of the deck, and proceeded to cut the deck several times as to disrupt whatever mechanism was putting the card on top. Again, with a snap, it returned. Many people find magic tricks, like the one I just showed, inherently valuable, but others perform or learn because of their tangible value. Magic can be used to impress others, start conversations, and just as a fun hobby. In fact, in a 1987 interview, Dai Vernon, on his 80th birthday, after performing magic almost his entire career, called magic just a hobby, which implies that it's fun and useful. I have spent the last 3 years learning really basic magic, and have spent hours researching how to teach you. Magic often has an aura of complexity and unattainableness, but it can actually be performed quite simply, and is a lot of the times very straightforward. In this speech, I'll be discussing card magic, as it's simpler and requires less setup than other forms, such as coin magic. I'll be discussing the 3 techniques used to perform the Dai Vernon trick: the double lift, the top change, and the double undercut. First, a double lift. The card on the Jack didn't start on the top of the deck. It started second to top. And it was lifted with the second card as one. This is done by getting a pinky break under the top 2 cards. This means that my pinky was physically in the deck under the top 2 cards. This is really blatantly obvious from the back, but from the front is surprisingly invisible. After flipping the 2 cards over as one, remember, as 52 Cards, one of the largest online magic databases, said in a video in 2014, that you still have a pinky break under the top cards, because this will allow you to flip them back over naturally as well. After this, I placed the card, which appeared to be the Jack, in the middle of the deck, and the Jack was back on top. Next, the Jack was genuinely on top of the deck, so a double lift couldn't be used again. Therefore, I used a top change. A top change is quite simple. I physically just changed the cards. This would have been obvious if I didn't screw up. A top change is really obvious when done in front of an audience, but needs a distraction to work well. As a 2008 research study, co-authored by many prominent magicians, said, salient objects are generally more attended and have higher contrast than unattended objects. In this case, I needed to make the card unattended while making the deck box attended, or any other object. So I motioned towards the deck box while performing a top change. This would have been good if I didn't screw it up. Okay. After this, the card which appears to be the Jack is placed into the center of the deck again, and it reappears on top of the snap. Finally, for the previous 2 techniques, the card which wasn't actually the Jack was placed into the middle of the deck. But for the final technique, the Jack was placed into the middle of the deck, but finally controlled on top. This is the double undercut. When cutting cards off the top of the deck to put the Jack in the middle, notice how my pinky is on top of the cards. This allows for when the bottom cards are placed on the bottom for me to have another pinky break. Again, this is really obvious from the back, but invisible from the front. Then an arbitrary cut is made to distract the audience, and the rest of the cards below the pinky are put on top of the deck. I made another cut just as more distraction, but that was unnecessary. With a snap again, the card is revealed on top. In this speech, I discussed 3 techniques, which together can form the Dai Vernon Harry Houdini trick, but can also form any other amounts of tricks when put into different permutations and combinations, like a 2-card Monty. The techniques described were the double lift, top change and the double undercut, which hopefully by showing them can show that magic can be performed simply, and hopefully I even encourage you to try it. Remember that in magic, when performing a technique like this double undercut where I'm trying to put the jack of spades on top of the deck, you may get lost. You may not know where the card is on the deck. You may even have the wrong card. But remember that in these cases, it can all change with the snap of the fingers.